I guess we can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I, we have treated joins up to um the last but one class before we took the break, which was just combine. The join is actually a way of joining one or more tables together. By using the predicates, which the foreign key and the primary keys on the different tables. If there is no relationship between the tables, then you are not able to join them. But then, if there is an intermediate table between them, which is or intermediary table between them, which is um, table A has a relationship with table C, and table C has a relationship with table B. Then you can go from table A to table C, and from table C, you go back to table B in using that kind of a join. So you can still access it that way, indirect relationship. Anyway, so what we're going to be looking at today majorly is going to be, we've been writing script, we've been writing select statement, where clause filters, which is and other stuff like that. But today we want to create permanent queries that can be reused. And that is what happens when you are actually working in the industry, because what happens is that you will need to create permanent queries that can be reused, especially when you're using it for your reporting or even analytics. Okay, so the first one we're going to be looking at today is a view. It's a view. It says here in the definition, says here, right? It says a view is a virtual table based on the result set of a SQL query. It's a virtual table based on the result set of a SQL query. Says it contains rows and columns. It's just like it's a virtual table. It's not a physical table like you will be like looking at here. We have our tables here. Sorry, these ones, we have our tables here. They're physical tables, but a view is not a physical table. So we cannot see a view this way. We can see the script, and these are all views, which I'm going to be explaining how we're going to create them. Okay, these are all views, and these views are a result set of a SQL query. A SQL query can be 1,000 lines, could be 2 lines, could be even 1 line sometimes. So depends. But then we'll create this view. And then it says it contains the fields contained in the view are from one or more real tables in the database. So we're going to be uh, talking to tables within a database to create these views. Okay. And also it says a view is created with a create view statement. Yes. Anything you're going to create in SQL, really, you start with a create keyword, and then you give the object name that you want to create. Either create a table, create a view, or stuff like that. So you use the create keyword. Okay. So let's take an example. We want to, because I want to create something that we're going to be using in our Power BI report. So we want to create a view now. So to create a view, you start with, like you said, create. We're telling it, I want to create an object. So what's the name of the object? This time is a view. Okay, so create a view. But then this view, most of the time, right, for best practices, you name your view or your object in relation to the subject matter you are trying to address. Okay, so now I want to create a view that will look at the let's look at one of these one. Let's look at my product table. Okay, this is my product table. Okay, so I want to create a view for my product table. Normally, just before I do that, let's just look at what the product table contains. So I do a select, start from my products table. Okay, so this is my products table. And what this tells me is that I have a column here, which is the primary key, and that is the product ID. I have the product name, and then it's now telling me that this product table is related to the supplier table and is also related to the categories table. And then I have the quantity, I have the unit price, I have the unit in stock, I have the unit on order, I have the reorder level, I have this discontinued. So in this case, the view I want, I don't need all this information in my view for what the purpose for which I want to use this view for. So what I'm going to do is going to select some of the columns or select the columns that I need for the purpose of the task at hand. So in this case, I'll say create view. What's the name of my view now? But you can see now, let's just create the view first. So I want to create my view. I'll call it best practice, really. To syndicate that it's a view, we always start with a VW, which stands for view. The other artifact, I will tell you what the pseudo for them is, or the prefix for their name. Okay, create view, and I want it to be product because it's my products view. And then you come in down and say as. Okay, now my SQL query comes in. So my SQL query will now be select. I want the product ID still. I want the product ID. I want the product name, sure. I want it to go back to the supplier. Okay. I want this supplier. I want the category. I'm just bringing them out. I organize everything soon. I want the category. So I want these. 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 What is the quantity? I want that, and I also want the unit price. For the purpose which I need this view for, I don't need the number in stock. I don't need that for this purpose. And I don't need the reorder and then I want to know if it's discontinued, but I won't want to put that into my view. So you'll see how I'm going to work around that. And I'm only going to be returning all the products that are not discontinued. And here, the discontinued column, you see we have the ones and the zeros. The zeros is that it is not discontinued, and if it's a one means it's discontinued. So this is a yes and no. Yes, it is discontinued. Yes is one, and no is zero. This situation. Okay. So these are the columns that I want from that table. Okay, and then from this table. But then I can put a where clause here now, where you can see now I want to filter out where discontinued equals to 0. So you see what we have here. We only filter for where it is 0. All these ones will not be returned. These ones will not be returned in my query. This one will not be returned in my query. This one will not be returned in my query because I filtered them out. So if I execute just that query, you can see what I have here now. Okay. So I have this, and I deliberately included these two columns because why? I may need to link back to my suppliers table and also my categories table, which I will show us in a little while now. So it says here, create this. If I come in here, let me just check. I don't have a view with that name already. Products. Okay, I have deemed product as not there yet. Um, deems product. I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so.
I think you do.
Say that again.
I think I've seen it somewhere done. Let me see.
Products, just products. You know, this is just products.
Okay.
We have product sales, so that is a different. It's not the same name.
Okay.
Yeah, and product by category is not the same name either. Okay. Okay, just for the sake of this one, let's just put call this one 2025. 2025. Okay. So now that is it. I can now create this view. And then you can see here, it says it's created successfully. If I refresh this, then we should find it somewhere here, and that is it here. Okay, now you can see here, that's the view. If I right click and do script as, alternate, right here, you can see the same script which I've just written here, the same script. So what it has done is it is just saved my query and we saved out this query and gave it this name. That is what the view has just done. So a view, like it is in my definition here, it says is a virtual table based on the result set of a SQL query. So, and then it says here, contains rows and columns like in read tables, and then it says the field's name comes from one or more tables in the database, and it's created with that. So here, that's my query. But then you can see here, when I right clicked on it, look at the difference between this. If I right click on it, I can do a select on it, yes. But the difference between this is that I cannot write into a view. I can write into a table, but I can't write into a view because a view is not a physical object. It is a virtual object, right? Which is just the saving of the query that generates this the result set. Okay. But with a table, I can write into a table. And that is, if you remember, we did update the other time. So when I do an update, I can actually write into the table. But I cannot do an update with a view.
Okay.
I cannot update a view. No. The only thing I can do with a view is to alter a view, which is to change the query that creates that view. I can amend the query. Like now, I can decide, okay, I don't want it. I want the view to actually return back everything to me. And if I click on comment this one out, that is no longer active, then I click on that. You remember this one returned back 71 rows when I first created this because it was filtering just for where the product is not discontinued. So if I click on the comment that out and then click on execute, now it has altered this table, this view rather. It has altered the view. If I bring the view, do a refresh, and then I do a right click, and then let's do an alter again. You can see here that that comment still persisted, but it has changed because I've saved it. Okay. So I can change the query, I can change the view back to what it was, and then I can execute. But when you do an alter, what you need to also remember to do is that you just don't write alter view, or you just and then you think it's on. No, you have to execute it. That means you have to commit it to the database. So this now I have committed it to the database. And I can use the view now like a table, but it's a vector table. Okay, so for us to see the demonstration of that, let's come back into here. And then here, I've created the view. So, and then I can now say, okay, just let's do the same thing here. And the name of my view is that. Okay, so let's execute the main table. You can see the main table returns back 79 rows. The main product table returns 79 rows. And then our own view returns back 71 rows, meaning that 8 product has been removed. And this product are the product that has been discontinued. Okay. And I can use this view in another query. I can call it as if I'm calling, I can call it as if I'm calling a physical table. Okay. I can call it as if I'm calling a physical table. And if I want to amend the view, then I can do that as well. I'll now change this to an alter view. Alter is when you want to make change to a view. And the same thing is with stop procedure, which we'll get to very shortly. And also function, which we're not really going to be treating, but I'll just give you an overview on that. Okay, so now I can make this change here as well. Alter view. Mm. So now I can also do a lot of things. Like you see in the main table here, okay, in the main table here, you can see we have link back to, we have the foreign key from the supplier table, and then we have the foreign key from the categories table, meaning that the product table has a relationship with this table. So let's go look at the categories table, for example. Let's look at the categories table. And this is our categories table. So now I can decide that, you know what, I don't want to be going far back between the product table and the categories table to check what category this belongs to. I can actually create a new view that will actually address that for me. Okay, so let's do that. So now, remember the aliasing which I um, explained to you some times back. So here I need to now alias because I'm joining two tables together. So I want to have it as all these columns, fields are coming from the product table. So I just want to call it P, right? And my product table is now alias as P, okay? So I want to bring in the categories table. So now I will now say inner join, and as my categories table, And my categories table, I want to name it as C. I alias it as C. And what is the relationship between the products table and the categories table is the category ID, which is present in both tables. So I'll do a C, sorry, on. You always use the keyword on when you're doing uh, a join to specify the predicates that joins together, which is to specify the foreign key in one, which is the primary key in the other one. Okay, so C dot, you see straight away it's brought it to me. So categories ID equals P dot categories ID. And now I have the product ID. And instead of me having the category ID here, I don't want the category. I actually want the category name. So I will change that to C. And the category name is what I need. So it's beverage. So it's going to be called category name. So now you will see the difference in this query compared to what we had previously. And now you can see the category name is now here.
Sorry, I don't understand what you've done there. Because from my understanding, what you were saying was that in terms of the product, we have two foreign keys that was linking
Okay,
them
let's go
together.
back. Oh, don't
Yeah,
worry.
sorry, thank you.
Okay, look at this now. The two tables. This is the product table, this is the categories table. Let's run the two together. You can see here, my product table has got the product ID, the product name, the supply ID, and the category ID, okay, and the rest. And then my category table has the category ID, category name, and the description, and the rest. But then you can see the products table, which is this table, contains the category ID, which is also present in the categories table. This is the link. So this product now, which is this one, the row number, this one, product ID 1, which is chai. Chai is category ID 1. And if I come into the categories table, category ID 1 is beverage. And that's what we've done here. So when I'm saying here, inner join, which is returned back to me where there is a relationship. Every row that there is a relationship, there is a match in both tables. The category ID is present in product table. Likewise, the same category ID for that row is present in the categories table. This is what the inner join does. Return to me where there is only a match. That's the inner join. The left join is return back to me all the rows in the table on my left, even though there is no match in the table on my right. Go back to the video when where I treated the joins, and you understand this better. Okay. So what I've just done here is just to say inner join, products table, inner join to the categories table, where category ID in the categories table matches the category ID in the products table. So this and this are joined together, this and this is joined together, and this and this is joined together. This and wait, 3. Do we even have a 3 here? Okay, look at that 3 matches that. So it's going to return this, and all this row, tea time chocolate, Sir Rodney's marmalade, Sir Rodney's scones will return back as confectionaries. Does that answer your question?
It does, in a way, answer my question. I think where my confusion is this bit where you're writing the scripts. So this
Okay.
bit where you've done the script. So you've written, so we've given an alias, which we're using P because we're getting the data from the product, and you're using C because you're getting the categories from the category bits.
Yeah.
I think that's my confusion is this bit where you have the category name. Because my understanding was that the link was from the category ID. So I was thinking that we're trying to extract the data using the category ID in both in both tables.
Yeah, that's what we've done.
Yeah, so we're saying that we need to also display the category name in this item then. So we don't
Now,
need the
you see
product.
if you remember what I said in that class of the join,
Mm,
the relationship, which is this category ID and category ID in both table, gives me access to, from this table into this table, to pick any column I want. Okay, let's do something.
okay.
Let me do something. Let me do something. Right? I do select star, which is, select star means all. Okay. Select star. This one is now going to be P star. Right. From my products table. Okay. From my products table P, and then I do an inner join. Okay. But I should change that. Inner join this on. Oh, sorry, I didn't alias this. C dot category ID equals C dot category ID. So I can do that and then C star. Okay. It's not allowing me to do that. Okay. Should be reduced.
I think
Wait. Okay.
okay.
Okay. So look at that. You can see here, that's the category ID. So because of this the relationship, I have access to the two tables. If this were not defined in both tables, like now, this product table only has relationship with the categories table and the what's it called now? Sorry.
Product table.
And the products table, right?
Yeah.
It did not have direct relationship with any other table. So if I want to access this products table from my others table, for example, I can't do this with the others table directly. I can do it indirectly. I know what, right? Because I understand this database. I can do it indirectly, but directly I cannot do it.
I actually okay. I actually get you. Okay.
Because there is no relationship between them. Okay, your statement.
Yeah, I actually get you, but I think where my confusion was is this bit where you put the category name. So are we trying to display the category name so that we have an idea of what category is, or is that the reason why? Okay,
Yes.
okay. I think that's where my confusion was.
I can pick any column from this part of the table, this table rather. I can pick any column what I want to see. It doesn't have to just be the category name. I can decide, okay, I want to see the category name and I want to see the category description. If this bit is the picture, but I don't need that. But if I wanted, right, I can still bring in the picture as well. Because now what I'm trying to do is what I've just done here is I just wanted to create one flat table instead of two tables. So in this case, I have collapsed two tables into one. And say, for example, you have hundreds of tables, right? And you're trying to do what we call a data model for your analytics or for your reporting. You have to collapse some tables. right? I'm just not going to go into this part here, but then you see when we have a relational transactional database like we have for our Northwind, is a relational transactional database. Okay, it is no always a normalized database, which is we have removed the redundancy. When they were creating this database, the people who created it could have, sorry, I wanted to just let somebody in. The people who created this database could have just left the category part of it in the products table. But the reason why they have not left that there is this. Let's go back to this. You're taking me back a little bit, but no worries. Look at this category. Look at this category table. In fact, let me just do the categories table here for now. Look at this categories table. Say, for example, this category changes from beverage, right, to some other names, right? Meaning that everywhere, if you want to make the change in the products table, everywhere where this let's do the two back. Everywhere where this, in fact, let's use this. The beverages, right? Okay. So everywhere where this beverage has repeated, we have to go in and change the name because the name has changed. Okay? Because the name has changed. And this is what we call redundancy. It is redundant data. We did not need to repeat it like this everywhere. Somebody's coming in with a user. Okay? So, but to save ourselves, because when you're talking about millions and billions of data, it's going to be very tedious, time consuming for you to begin to do that. So what happens is that here, the product category name can change to whatever it wants to change to. So far as sorry, can you mute yourself? I'm getting a feedback. Yeah. So for whatever it likes, the category name, the category description can change. Even the picture can change. Right? But so far as the ID do not change, it will still refer to this row. It will still refer to this row. So meaning that if there is, say, for example, this product, this category 1 is now changed. Probably let's just assume that, okay, they've removed beers from this beverage and the description. They've removed beer, right? In the description, we only have to come to one place, or in the database, we only have to come to one place, which is this one row, to make the change. We don't have to worry about it in any other place. Because why? We are not directly referencing this. We are directly referencing this in the other tables. So whatever information is here at the point of we executing our view, it is what is going to return back to us. So for example, by yesterday, we still have the description as it is right now. But by today, we have removed the beer. It will not have an impact on our table. We don't have to worry because why? When you run a query, it's going to go to this table and fetch the latest information that is kept there. Okay? So that is why in a normalized transactional database, it is, a transactional normalized database, it is always like this at this level. But then when you are actually doing data modeling, which is part of what we're doing here, but I'm not really doing that, but is you begin to collapse this back into one single entity. Because why? At that level, you are not going to be looking at the data at the transactional level. You're going to be looking at the data at the aggregated level. If you understand what I'm saying. So now, when we are creating the report, when we use this database as our transaction, each transaction, if you look at the orders table, each order is a transaction by one customer. That's the order the customer has placed for that particular day. And the receipt is printed out. Or let me even go back to, let's use Tesco, for example. You go to Tesco, you bought 4 items. By the time you get to the till, it is scanned through and you make your payment and you're handed your receipt, right? It will list the items you bought: one can of Coke, 1 pack of crisps, 1 pack of biscuit, and XYZ. That is those are the 4 items you have bought. That is at the transactional, that's at the lowest level. But now, when the likes of the managers in Tesco, or the area manager, or the buying and selling manager, right, wants to look at what they have actually done. They don't want to see, okay, oh, Yinka came in and bought 4 items. He bought this, 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 this. They don't want to see that. What they want to see is that, okay, oh, we have sold 20 packs of, say that again. We have sold 20 cartons of crisps. We have sold 100 cartons of Coke. That is what so now what we're doing now is we're now taking it from the lower level, we're rolling it up to a higher level. Sorry, I'm going into a bit of business now. The transactional level is actually meant for people in accounts. But people who are going to make decisions, they will need it at the aggregated level, which is why we're collapsing this back together into a view. Is that understood? Is that understood?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry,
Yes.
somebody's. Okay. No worries. I just want to see. Okay. Now, so what I've just done here is to merge these 2 tables together. Yeah, if I want as well, just for curiosity's sake, I can come in and then I put in that the category description. Okay. And then it's going to bring that in. So I can see I have the product name, the category name, the category description, right? And then now I have my supplier, and I don't need, since I've already collapsed that, I don't need a category ID again, really. I don't really need it, though I can still leave it if I want, but, right? So in this case, I'll just take that one out. I don't need it. What I'm leaving the supplier ID. And the reason why I'm leaving the supplier ID, if I want, I can bring in the supplier ID, but it's going to expand my table. You see here, I only have 70 rows returned at this level. But if I bring in the supplier ID, you can see different suppliers. And if as a supplier, look at the product. Okay, that's the good thing about this is that, no, one supplier is one supplier per item. If we are to be multiple suppliers per item, then it's going to blow up my data, this view. So you can see this supplier. Okay, this supplier supplies all these 3 items. Supplier 6 supplies all these 3 items. Right, the same thing. This one, this supplier supplies all these 3 items. Right? So, but for now, let's just leave it at that for now. So this is what we have. Let's just leave this way and move ahead. So I'm going to change the name of this. I do a create. Sorry. I do a create, and then I'll call this product category. Product category 2025. So, and I've created that as well. And that is it. That's the first one, and that's the second one. Okay. Any questions on this? All right. Now, another, we're still going to create more views, but I want to go into, the next thing I want to go into is what is called the stored procedure. And the stored procedure is a little bit different from a view. You see, I created my view here. And I have my where clause. Okay. I have my where clause. And it's only filtering for where the discontinued is equal to 0. But with the way I've created this top view right now, I can actually, it can only serve one purpose. And it's that the purpose is just to serve for where the products that are still on in manufacturing that we still deal with, we have not discontinued. But if I want one view or one query to handle for both continued and discontinued, but the filter will be applied at the time of execution, which we call the runtime. At runtime, the filter will be applied. Then I cannot do that with a view. That's one of the disadvantages of the view. Okay, there's the limitation. But if we are to be a stored procedure, right, then at runtime, I can actually apply my filter. So let's look at what the definition of a stored procedure is. It says a stored procedure is a prepared SQL code that you can save so that the code can be reused over and over again, just like view. Okay, it says, so if you have a SQL query that you write over and over again, then you can save it as a stored procedure, and then you can just call it and execute. You see now, it is not run, it is execute. It's different from as a view. This, for you to actually for you to run a stored procedure, you execute the stored procedure. When we get there, we'll see it very shortly. So it says you can also pass parameters to a stored procedure so that the stored procedure can act based on the parameter that is passed. All right. So let's use the same query here for a stored procedure. Let's use the same one. So now I want to create a stored procedure here. So I'm just going to call it, and again, when you are creating a stored procedure, we call it a stored procedure, but when you're creating it as an object, you don't create it as a stored procedure, but you just create it as a procedure. It's called create procedure, right? Rather than stored procedure. So I just say create procedure. I'll give it the same name, but this time, because it's a procedure, the the prefix is going to change. Normally, we can use SP, which stands for stored procedure, but it's not best practice. And the reason why it's not best practice is that the database engine will treat it as one of these procedures that is a system procedure, and it slows it down a little bit, just a little bit. So you still find some people still use SP, but for best practice, you put in a U, and that U stands for user defined stored procedure. That's what that just stands for. So it's now telling the system, no, it is user defined. It is not system defined. Okay, so I still leave the name as that and this here. But now the difference here is that as this one is, I'm not passing anything. I can create it as a stored procedure as it is. And then I execute it, and then it's created it. But then it's not going to be stored here. It's going to be stored here. When you come to programmability, expand on that, you have the stored procedure, and then here you will find it. Okay, that's the stored procedure we just created. But then I cannot do a select. My view earlier, I did a select from my view. With a stored procedure, you cannot do a select from the view. Rather, you do we do execute, and then you give the name of the procedure. You give the name of the procedure, and then I click on that and execute, and then you can see that. Okay, and then you can see that. So it is not select, it is execute for stored procedure, and then you can also shorthand it as well. You don't have to write a full execute. You can just write XC, which is short form for execute, and then it will still give you back the same result. Now, this is a stored procedure without what's it called now? A parameter. Is just more or less like the glorified what we have here. The glorified view we have. Okay. But then we can also now apply some filters that will happen at the runtime, like I said to you. So this same stored procedure, I will now change it, and I will now define here. I'll give in the name, and then I'll come back. I can do, if I can put it here. I want to define earth. Okay, let me put it. I have to put in bracket earth. For you to define a parameter, which is the filter you're going to be passing in, right? You define it. So this one, I'll still call it discontinued. I'll just call it that name. I'll just call it that name. So it's discontinued. That's the name of my parameter. But what is the, you need to now define or tell it the data type for this parameter you are creating. So in my table here, what is so it's a bit. So I'll just define it as bit. Okay, and then I'll close it. Okay. And then now I can now pass this in. Instead of me having the 0 here, I can now pass that in. But I need to, where I have the wiggly line is, so I now say category by, let me say product category all. Okay. And then I can create this stored procedure now. And it's been created. And that is the stored procedure. Now, sorry, hold on. Sorry. Somebody's at the door. Why is this showing blocking me? I can't see how. Okay, so for this one, let me show you another way to run this one before I go into that one. If I want to execute it without having to write it out this way, I can just right click on this one, and then you can see straight away it says execute stored procedure, and I click on that. It brings me here. You see it is not bringing me any rules here to fill out or not or so, and then I execute, and it's going to return back to me this. Okay, that is, there is no parameters, but this one is got parameters. So I do the same thing, execute the procedure, and then you can see the discontinued parameter which I created. If you remember, that is here. Okay, so I want to see where it's not asking me, because the parameter is mandatory. I did not make it optional. The parameter is up. So if I try to execute this, it will come back with an error. You can see, because I need to pass in that parameter. I need to pass in that parameter. So use that and execute again. And then here, I want to see where the discontinued is no. Yes, right. No, sorry, is not discontinued. Okay, so if I execute that, and you can see it's returned back the same thing for me. But then at the same time, look at it here. That's the script here. I can change that. I want to see where it is discontinued. All I have to do is just pass in that one, and then you can see it's returned those ones. So it's one query, but it's serving multiple purposes. So it depends on the parameter which are passing at the runtime, which is this point, then it will pass in. And then I can still execute this one in this way. If I want to execute it this way, sorry, here, and okay, here. So I do execute, and it is this one. I just want to show you how to run it if you want to run it manually, and then it is 0. You just pass in 0 after that. Okay, because it's bit, I won't have to put it in parentheses, and then it's going to return it back to me. And then here, if I want to do 1, I just pass in the 1. Then it's going to return this back to me. Is it clear? Or you want me to go through it again?
Sir, please.
Can you go
Good
through it
afternoon.
once more, please? Thank you.
Say that again.
If you can go through it once more, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Help us to go through it once more, sir.
Okay. So a start procedure, like I said earlier, is just the same thing like a view, but the difference between the stop procedure and the view is that the stop procedure, most of the time, because it handles a large volume of data, and the same thing with a view as well. But then, I don't know if you're familiar with programming a little bit. This is where a bit of programming comes into data. It is what is called precompiled, which is the code is being executed in the engine, and the result set is stored. Like now, if I run this again, the one I ran earlier, it's going to return back to me more quicker than previously. You can see straight away, because why? It is saved. The result set is already saved in the memory of your engine. Okay, it's already saved in memory until this window is shut down, which is like I close this window, then it clears up in the memory. Okay, so it's the same thing, but then a stop procedure allows you to filter your result set based on a parameter at a runtime. So rather than me having to write the result, having to write 2 queries or 2 store procedures to for this query, for example, which you're looking at, instead of me to having to write 2, one for the discontinued, one for the one that is still continuing, right? I can write just one, and I will now pass in the discontinued discontinued status, continued or discontinued status into the query at the time of execution. Okay, so in this case, I wrote the first procedure, which is this one, without a parameter. Take that out, without a parameter. So it creates procedure, give it the name. And like I explained earlier, you can you identify, or you, for best practice really, all your objects you create, you put a prefix before there, which is in this case, for a view, we use WV, which stands for view. So when I see anything WV, I know it's a view, right? Because if I do not differentiate, you will not know, because the query and everything, they're the same. When you are executing, it's the same. So for me, know that, okay, this is a view, WV. And if it's a stored procedure, you can either have it as a USP or you can have it as SP. And some people even use user defined, which is UDSP. Depends, it's just organization's choice as well, or the developer's choice. But in our case, we normally will use USP, which is user defined stored procedure. And like I said, you will not, when you are creating a stored procedure, it's not create stored procedure, but it is create procedure. You don't have the stored into that script. Okay. So, like I said, and then you create your stored procedure just the way like I've done here. Here will be equal to 0, which is the continuing product as it is here. And all I have to do is just execute this. It's going to throw me an error because I already have this there. So I have that. Then when you want to create, when that is, so for me to create, for me to be able to handle both the discontinued and continuing product, I have to create 2 stored procedures. One for when it is discontinued, and one for when it is the ones that are continuing. Because why? Here, I've only passed in one parameter, which is one condition rather. I'm only passing one condition into the parameter. The condition is where the discontinued is 0. So I need to create another one where the discontinued equals 1. Okay. So in this case now, I'll have to create 2. But stored procedure gives us that flexibility whereby we can create and passing parameters onto it. And that is what we have done in the second case, which is when we create this one and then just reverse that. And then we have created our parameter. And I said that when you are creating a parameter, you see I've enclosed the parameter in open and close bracket. And your parameter, right, you prefix your parameter name. You prefix your parameter name with the @ sign. Okay, you prefix your parameter name with the @ sign, which is just the same thing that your @ in your email. Okay, and then the name you want to give to it. It does not have to be the same name as the the column you want to filter on. It doesn't have to be, you can choose anything, but it's always just best practice so that you know, okay, this parameter I've created is actually for this column. Okay, so and then you create that this way. You pass in the parameter, you create the parameter name, and then the data type of that parameter. That is very important. The data type of that parameter is very important for you to put. Okay, so you put the data type so that when you are passing it, you have to pass that in that data type. Okay, so this one is a beep, so which is 1 or 0. And then where in your where clause now, the beauty of that now is in your where clause, where you now have your discontinued equals 0 before. No, you now bring in the parameter which you have created, and then passing, put it the discontinued equals the parameter. Because why? You will be feeding that parameter with the value that is required at the time of execution. You will be feeding the parameter with the value that is required at the time of execution. Okay, so and then you create your parameter, you create your procedure, and then next thing is you're going to execute your procedure, and then you can pass in your parameter in this way, or you can also do it, which is you do a right click and then execute stop procedure, or you can, like I've done here, execute your procedure and you pass in your parameter. If it does not, your procedure is non-parameterized procedure, then you don't have to pass in anything. You just need to just execute the procedure here, like you have here. Okay. And also, we can also still do something. I can pass in more than one parameter. It doesn't have to be one. You can pass in as many parameters as you want. So now, let's say, for example, this same procedure, I want to change this. I just call this for procedure all. Okay, now this procedure is limiting me. If I, it's a parameterized procedure. If I want to see everything rather than me just having to filter for when it is discontinued or if I want to see everything, both continued and discontinued products, there's a way I can do that. It's just one for procedure. And what we need to do there is that we're going to make the procedure, right, optional. Sorry, I said procedure. We're going to make the parameters optional. And what we're going to do here is that is my stop procedure. So that's my parameter. Why am I saying this? My parameter, and then I can say equals blank. So let me change the name of this. Just put in these two asterisks. I hope you will allow me. Or let me, yeah, okay. 2025. Let's leave it at that. Okay. So I'm passing in, I said, yes, it can be blank. And when it is blank, it will not, meaning that this will not be activated. Okay. That will not be activated. So let's create this one. And let's find it. And that is this gentleman here. So let's execute. You see, and then I can leave it as blank. And then you can see what is done here. It should have returned back. Yeah, you can see it's returned back 70. No, it should be 79. Let's do that. Sorry, 1 second. When I don't pass the in, it should be 79. No, I need to change that. Sorry, my bad. So it's blank again. Let me see. No. Oh, why? No. No. Come in. Sometimes I forget these things. This will not bring back anything. It's not null. It's not null. So it's 1 or 2. 0 or 1 rather. Then it should return back. This will return back 78. So if we're passing this, if I don't pass in this, it should be. Sorry, let me find out if I made a mistake. So just give me 1 sec. But I guess I'm right. Optional. Okay. If I got it wrong or right. Okay. Okay. I think it was me. That's the default. Okay. Okay. No, I need to do it this way. Equals no. So I may not need to put this around it as well, but then this bit I can put that, but I may not even need to do that. Okay, which is still the same, but now I have to alter this. Yes, successful. Then refresh. Then I should be able to have my 70. No, this is not allowing me to. Don't know why. It should set me. Yeah, alter passed in that, and this is that. So if it is null, is it because it's 1 or 2, or 1 or 0? It's not null, so except if I want to have a default. Okay, let's leave it. I'll come back to this, but we can always do that. But then there's another thing which I wanted to bring out. So now, for example, I want to have more than one procedure. Sorry, one parameter. I can define another one. Let's look at let's pass in the supplier ID as well. So here is going to give us, I'll call this supplier. I will not call it supplier, I'll just call it supplier. And what data type is the supplier? I think it's product. And that's int, so that's good. So that's int. Okay. And we cannot pass in that supplier ID equals supplier. Okay, this same one. I alter that. So I still have that. Let's look at one supplier ID here. Let's look at supplier ID 1 or 2. Okay. And we come to execute procedure. You can see it's brought the 2. Let's put in it's continued and let's do 1. What did I do? Oh, sorry. 0. Okay, now you can see. And then let's look at supplier number 2. Supplier number 2 will give us what supplier number 2 is doing, and then supplier number 3, for example. No, why is it not changing? 7, 8, 9. I mean, it's giving me, yeah, okay, it's working. So that's what the supplier is doing. Let's look at that again. I don't want this. Let's look at supplier. Let's look at supplier 28. So we have 59, 60, 61. A supplier 28. Yeah, so 1 is discontinued. If I see here, look, yeah. No, okay, that supplier is your 2. Okay, so it's 2. Let's look at where one supplier has got any discontinued. Okay, this supplier is got 1, 2, 3, but we're expecting it to return just 2 for 0, and that's supplier 6. Is there any other? Okay, let's do something here. No, sorry. I wanted to put it here. Okay, 3. There's none that is discontinued. Really? 6. Supply ID 6. This one is discontinued. It should come up. Oh, no, that's supplier 4. Sorry, my bad. Supplier 4. That is the category. So this one is returning just that. Just those 3, yeah. So it's right. Yeah, just those 3 is right. Okay. Any questions on this one? So you see, when you are creating you're having multiple parameters, you just separate it by the comma for each parameter you're creating. So we've looked at the view, we've looked at stored procedure. And then there's another one, which is the function. The function allows you to, seriously these days, previously the function is very different from stored procedure, but these days functions are actually as more similar as a stored procedure. It's just a matter of your choice. But the difference between a function, you can do a select from a function. And you can easily use a function to do calculation. I will return back to you a value. Okay. It will return back to you. You can use it for a calculation and it will return back to you a value. And also they can return back to you what is called a table as well. But generally, these days, functions and store procedure are almost the same. It's just that when you are executing a function, the way you will write it is quite different from the way you would do for a store procedure. So let's take this same one and turn it into a function. So I'll just do a create. And then rather than procedure is now going to be function. Function, and then function is fn. Function is fn, and let's just leave it. Okay, I'm defining it the same way. Okay, I can have a function that I'm not passing in any parameter as well. So let's do the first one. Let's do the first one without any parameters. And I'm just passing in 0. Just passing in 0. Okay. And create function. Yep. Oh, sorry. The difference also is a function, you have to open the bracket and you have to close the bracket. Okay, no, it's not that. I have to do my bracket this way. It's just that way and take that out. If I have any parameter I'm going to create, it's going to be within the bracket there. And I should be able to execute this. What's that? What's that? Incorrect syntax. What did I not do right? Functions. What did I not do right? 1 second. And another thing which I need to let you know, which is very important, is that with every version, new version of SQL server that comes out, there's always a change in the way it handles these keywords in the database. Okay, so sometimes, like some people approached me the other day and they were asking me what version of SQL, which version of SQL is the latest that you have worked on. I said 2022. So that's okay, because 2020 there's 2025 which is out, but a lot of businesses are not using 2025 yet because they're waiting for it to actually become stable before they begin to use it. Okay. I'm just looking for something because I normally, let me see, functions is here. It's under programmability. Okay, there's function. So what did I not do right? You can see here we have value table value function, and have a scalar function, and you have the aggregate function. So table function, let me put this. I'm writing this. What did I not do right in the functions here? Yeah. Okay, I didn't put the return table. Okay. Now you see here the difference here. I'm telling it to return it as a table. And then here, the scalar one, we don't have any scalar here, unfortunately. Let me look for one of my other ones that I have. Normally, I don't use function, I use most of the time stored procedure because let me see, where do I have a function? I think I did in this class season 9. This is the current one. Let's look at here. I just want to show you what you need to put if it's a scalar. We don't have scalar, we don't have scalar. I don't normally use functions, really. Let me see if I'll find. No, you see, most of the time we don't have. No, I just wanted you to know, to be familiar with it, because you may come across it. And for me, I don't really use functions, so I'm not expecting I'm going to find, If I do, it's going to be a table function. Yeah, it's going to be a table function. So what you just need to, just do the table function, because that is when it's going to return back. I have one. Let me see. I have one when I'm calculating. Or is it a stop procedure? No, I think it's a stop procedure. I think it's a stop procedure I use instead of, this one. I made it a stop procedure, not a function. I made it into a stop. So a function, you have to tell it to return table, and then you tell it what to return. So here now, what I need to do is that. Okay? Then here, 1 second. Return table. Okay, and then you tell it to return. Right. Then I can execute that if I have a function. Still no. What did I not do right? Yeah, I'm all right. Oh, returns. Okay, so you can see sometimes, and then that's it. So now, when I want to execute that, 2025. Okay, so now I can this you cannot do execute. You can see there's no execute. So what I can do with that is, that's the name of my function. Copy it that way. I can do a select star from. Look at something. If I don't put the open and close brackets, it's going to throw me an error. Because if you look at it, it's part of the create statement for the function. So you open and close bracket, and then it's going to return back. And let us now use the same thing. Let's do all. Now I want to now pass in a parameter, which is now at discontinued rather. Let's copy this. And then passing in this, and then it is bit, sorry, it's a bit, okay, and then I pass that in, change that into this, okay. I'm creating that, okay, it's created now. And what I can now do is just copy the name into this. And then now what I want to pass in, if I want the zeros, I just put in the 0 in here and then execute. Okay, you can see if I want the ones, and you can see. So it's the same thing with the stop procedure, but just the usability differs. I can use this in my query. I can select from a function from my query because I can do a select, but with the stop procedure, I cannot do a select. I can only execute. And if I need to use a stop procedure within my query, then I will need to include it this way. So let's do something for you to see how you use a stop procedure. Let's do a select. Star from this table. Okay, this table. So we have the products, right? So here we can now join it. Let's do other details. And this is OD. And then what I'll do is cross apply. I'll use cross apply as the join for the stop procedure. And let's just use this one. Okay, and PC. PC. So I can't do that. I can't do that. No, I can't use that. I can't. Is that is it cross join or cross supply? Let's see. Because normally I want to use this. And this one I'm not for. I begin to see the indication that this is not going to work. Equals OD dot ID. Come in, let me see. That's weird. Come in. My cross supply. Okay. Is it cross supply or cross join? I'm not sure now. I'm just looking at my previous examples. So just 1 second, please. Stop procedure. Join a stop procedure. You see now, because I've not used this in a while, apparently I can use inner join now. So instead of me even using cross apply, I can use inner join. But then the difference is not going to be inner join. It's not going to be, I'll not do, can I do a select from a stop procedure? You know, don't let me confuse it. Let me just leave this. I'll come back to it either in my next class or please somebody remind me to. I will have researched and come back to you on this one. The use of stored procedure in a SQL statement. But if we're to be my function, I can do my function the same way like a normal query. So with the and then let's do it more properly so that we can see what we're going to get. So we have the OD dot product ID OD dot quantity. But here I want to now use my function is which is the first function I created. Where's the function? There should be two functions here. Okay, this one. So where's the OD? So I now call this one. Let's call it PC as it is, and I want the product name from it. And then I'm selecting that from, let's just do a simple query. Okay, OD, and then I do an inner join to this one. Which I call the same PC. And I'm joining on, no, sorry, PC. I have to put that bracket. Okay, and on PC dot equals, okay, and then it should be able to give me that. What did I do wrong? Oh, sorry. Is it name? Yep, you can see now. So I can join a function to normal query. There won't be a problem with that.
So let's run that again.
It's just writing the select statement.
Okay.
And I'm now using the stop procedure, sorry, function rather, not the stop procedure, function, which I've created. Right. I should be able to do the same thing with the stop procedure, but I'm not getting the syntax right. So that's why I left it. But I'll come back to it in my next class. Okay. So it's just the same thing. Your normal select statement, you know, when you're doing your join, you're joining one or two tables to get two or more tables together rather. Then okay. So any questions so far? Because I want to do a quick roundup for today because we're almost our time is almost up. But if you don't mind, I will exceed the time a little bit so that in the next class I will expect you all to have done what I want to do now by the next class, because the next class we're going to be looking at Power BI, and I'll show you how to use SQL database for your Power BI, and also the same thing with Excel. Okay, they're almost the same thing, but then what you will need to do in SQL, you may not need to do it in. And so what we may need to do in when your source is Excel, you may not need to do the same thing in SQL. because you will have written out your query and clean out your data. Okay. Any questions before I start further on that one? So we're going to be creating views that we're going to be using in our Power BI. Any questions before I begin on that? I believe silence means I should go ahead. All right. So what we are looking at is we have our database, which is this. I will close this. I will drop that. I want a clean table. I want a clean database. Let me remove them. I'm dropping them. That is, I'm deleting them. I'm deleting them. I'm deleting them. I'm deleting. I want a clean one. I don't need this either. So okay. Okay. Rules is not part of this. Okay. And then Chica's territory, so customers and dropping that. So if I do a refresh, I will have fewer tables there now. Okay, you see, it's much better. All right, and this one's okay. I want to use this schema again. I already have this schema. Okay, let me see. I'll use the DBO this time around. I'll use the DBO. Okay. All right, so the first table and the first view we're going to be creating is our customer view. So execute, do a select. So this is my customer table, and I don't want, it's not all the columns that I need for my reporting. So I'll be taking out the columns I don't need. In this case, I need a customer name, I need a customer. So in this case, this one is company name. I want to change that to customer name. So I'll change it to as customer name. And contact name, that can remain. I want to change this contact title to role within the organization. I need the address. Do I need the address? No, I don't need the address. When I'm reporting, I don't need to report on the address. I want the city. I want to report on the region. I don't want the postcode. I want the country. I don't need the phone. I don't need the email. I don't need the. So these are what did I do wrong? Okay. These are the columns that are required for what I want. 96 row. So this is cleaner. So what I'll just need to do is now create view. Okay, VW underscore customers. And okay, so that's my view. So if I come back in here and do a refresh, redeem customer. No, sorry, customer. That is why I wanted to clean up these things. It's going to be missing. Okay, that's it here. All these ones, I can take them out. Drop. I don't want confusion. Okay, let's leave those. Remove those two. Okay, so that's our customers. Okay, so we have those. So the next one, we've done that. The next one we want to create, we've created the customers there. Let's create, I don't need this table. It's not supposed to be here. So I need the employees. Right click, select. No, sorry, select. So what don't I need in the employees? I need the employee ID, I need the name, I need the title. Okay, I need a prefix. So I will need to rearrange this in the way that will suit one. So what it is, I have the employee name. I want the title to be next to line after the title. Yes. The last name, the first name, depends how do I want it. No, sorry, courtesy. And then I want the title. No, I should return back. Okay, it's the title that I want. Sorry, the courtesy title. Okay, I want that. I want that. The time that's moved, and I don't need the date of birth. But what I can do, I'll do some manipulation here. And the date of hire. Because this is a long time, do I need to do this? Okay. For the sake of it, when I'm reporting, I'm not reporting on their age, but I'm reporting on their gender. So I keep the gender. I can take. Okay, let's do that. You see, when you're creating a model, this is the way you think. Now, I want your suggestion. Do we put in, do you want us to have the names in one as full name, or we can leave it as last and first name? I want suggestions here.
I think it's cleaner when it's like the first name has its own column and the last name has its own column. Just
Okay.
a thought. Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it that way. So the date of birth here, I don't need the 00. So what I would do here, this is a bit of change here. So the date of birth, I want it. Do when I get into Power BI, I can do some things with it. So what I want to do here, I want it to report me as, I don't want the 000 that comes after. So I want to do something. I do a convert. So I'm doing a data manipulation here. And then I put in as date. That is, you see, when I put in convert, it says target type, expression, and style. So what is the target type? I want to change it to date. It's in date time currently. I want it as just date. So that's the target type, date. And wait, I'll copy that out. Oh, sorry. And then I close the bracket. And then as, because if I don't repeat the name here, because I've done a bit of transformation here, it will not return back the, let me show you so that you can understand. because I've done a bit of transformation here, look at the date of birth column here, what is going to return. And you can see it says no column name, because why? I have included that column name in my transformation. This is what's called data transformation. So I've done it. So for me to have that name, I'll just put it back in as you have to repeat it. Okay, I'll do the same thing for the date. Higher. You can either use, you can use a convert when you're converting, and you can also use cast. Let me use cast for this one, and then you can see the difference in the syntax. Cast, and then the cast is going to say, I'll still use, it's going to be this way, it's just a little bit different. And then cast is as dates, and then I close that. Okay, you'll see no header as well. You can see it's done the same thing with the two, but you can see the two ways by which you can do that as well. I don't need the address, I only need the city. I need the region, I don't need the postcode, I need the country. I don't need the phone, I don't need the extension, I don't need all these 4 columns, and I don't need this one as well, the photographic path. And this one, I will change that to as that's the manager that this person reports to. So you can see what I have now. And then I will show us later on how to change this. This is just number. So meaning that this person, this first person, is reporting to this person. The sales representative is reporting to vice president sales. In fact, most of them are reporting to the vice president sales, except for this one that is reporting to the sales manager. Okay, these ones are reporting to the sales manager and stuff like that. And some are not reporting to anybody. Like this sales vice president is not reporting to anybody. That's what it means there. Okay, so I have then I create the view. I create the view, and it's VW underscore employee. Okay, employees. Yes. Okay, and that's me. That's it done. Employees will be somewhere there. You can see that's it there. So we've done 2. And then the next one is, okay, now I want to make any change to that because now I have this employee territory. I don't want to have 2. So let's look at what the data looks like. That's the employee territory. And then the employee territory is, okay, I didn't take you data modeling per se, so I won't, but the employee territory, you can see this is just a lookup table. It's giving me the employee table, so the employee ID and the territory to which that employee belongs to. So, and that's the territory ID. So let's look at the territory as well. The territories table. And then you see how we're going to join back together to get what we want. So look at that and look at so from the employee table, I'll come into this table to join on this one. And from this table, I'll join on this one to get this. Okay. And then even if I want the region, do I have the regions as well? You can see, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Start from regions. So let's look at what it's going to give us. Now let's look at the regions. So you can see the regions. So this one. So let's go and amend the employees now. The employee view, where is that? We bring everything together into one. So alter.
Sorry, it's just a bit weird where we have the employee ID. We have one employee with different IDs in terms of the category.
Yeah, that means the employee has it reports into all those territories.
Okay, get you. Cool, thank you.
Yes, the employee reports into all those territories. So it's going to change the hour data. Okay, it's going to change our data. And the reason why it's going to change our data, look at this employee now. Employee 2 reports to how many territory? And that's why I said it's going to change our data, because it's going to report that employee for all of these bits. And that is why we have this table is a lookup table. You can see it just contains the key from one table to the other. That's all it contains, right? What will have made it easier or better is that if we are if we have the start and end date for these employees reporting into these regions or territories, maybe. But then if you look at these regions, if you look at these territories, they will probably fall within the same region. But let's do it, and then you see. So when you select that employee one time, right, you will need to find out. Don't let me do this today. It's going to take time. And the reason why I said it's going to take time is this. You see, now as a data modeler and analyst, right, what I need to now do in this instance is to now create it in such a way that if you look at it, for me to be able to know when this employee is reporting into this region or this territory, right? And when this employee is reporting to this territory, I have to create a new column. I need to create a new, what's it called? Unique identifier, which is going to be the two together, right? Which is going to be the employee ID and employee DAT. You understand what I'm saying here? So it will be, let's say this is Yinka Balogun, right? Yinka Balogun reporting into London, Yinka Balogun reporting into Sussex, Yinka Balogun reporting to Buckinghamshire, right? So when I now need to identify here, where's that employee thing? Let's bring that. From okay. No, I still need all of them. I don't need the region for now. Okay. So this is okay. Now I can understand why. And you know why I can understand why? Because this employee is the director. He oversees all these regions. They fall under him. That is why you can see it is his responsibility. And this employee is responsible for this, but these other ones, they report onto him. And then you can see that. So here, now let's look at it. Because it's already in the West region, let's look at that region in here. The West region, so you can see no, this region is, I think this is not their reporting region. This is now their residence rather than the reporting region or their office location. Okay, this is, yeah, the office location you can see now, yeah. So, but this region is the region where they are overseeing the sales. So this is going to be a little bit complex. Let's leave this. I'll do it on next week, in the next class. But let's do the most simpler one because it's going to take our time. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So meaning that we're not going to touch, we're going to leave the employee the way it is. We're not going to do anything with the region and the employee territories, the region, and the territories for now. We leave those ones. So let's do the next one after that. We've done that. I'll not do that. Let's jump into the shippers. The orders and the other details is the one I'm going to do last for today. Okay, so I do this. You see, this is very simple. So we're not just going to make any more changes, but what we don't need this in our reporting because we're not going to be needing the phone numbers. Okay, and I'm going to be taking that out. So shipper ID, and then I'll change this one to shipper's name, really. Shipper name or shipper's name. I can't put apostrophe, so I will leave it as shipper name. Okay. So that's what I'm going to get. Okay. Okay, we've created that. Let's go do the supplier. We select. So this is my supplier. You see here, I need a supplier ID. I need the supplier. I want to change the name. Well, company name is good. So okay, supplier's name is company name is good. Contact name is good. I'll call this one row. I don't need the address. I need the city. I don't need that. I don't need. Okay. But this is what we're going to have. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to have. Okay. So we just click that. Okay. Created that. Yeah. Now the last one for today is this one. I will close. So let's look at our orders table. You can see this is our orders table, right? And here, that's the order ID, which is unique for every order. Every order will have a unique ID. But then this is the customer that, yes, the customer that actually placed this order. And this is the employee that actually attended to this. And that's the date the order was made, the date the order is required by, and the date the order was shipped, which these dates will give us a lot of insights. And then this is now the shipper. I think we've done the shippers, haven't we? Yeah, we done it. That's the shipper. And then this the freight cost, the cost of freight. And then that's the ship name address. So that is the address which this order is going to. No, sorry, that's the name of the shipper that's going to handle it, and that's the ship address. That's where it's going to be delivered. That's the city where it's going to be delivered, and that's the region. And the postcode and the country. So in this case, we don't need what we don't need here, I don't need the postcode. Don't need anything to do with it. Where we need the ship city, we need the ship region if it is available. We need the country if it's available. We don't need the address, and we want to shipper. We want to have the shipper's name as well, or ship name. The ship name is not a shipper. This is the ship that will carry. So more or less like the ocean moving vehicle that will carry this. So I don't need this. And lots of information which I'm still going to bring into this. I don't need this. I have the country. I don't need the postcode. I need the region. I need the city. I don't need the address, but I need the ship name. I can actually do without this ship name. I can actually create this into another separate table, but I won't do that in this. I'll leave it there for now. Okay, I need the freight. So now I'm going to be doing it because this is now what is called our fact table. And our fact table contains the metrics, right, that actually tells us what the business is doing. Is the business in profit? Is the business losing money? Is the business making money? Okay. And the other tables or views which we have created, they are more like they're called the dimensions because they are the categorization that describes the fact. I will tell you more in the next class on that one as well. So let's execute this. This is what we have. Let's move this one. I'm bringing some things into play now. I'm going to be joining more than one table. So bring that to the back here. Okay. And the ship there, I'm bringing this into here. You see, when you have your keys, especially with your fact table, you try to put them next to each other so that you can see the flow. Now, that's the ship there, that's the ship. Okay, I'm still going to bring in, so this is what it looks like. Let's clean these ones up. Convert into date. Okay. Going to date together. No. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I have that cleaned out. I have this cleaned out now. Okay, so this now is my orders. These are all coming from my orders table. So that's all. That's right. And this one too is good. And this one's dot. Okay, and it's all. So it should be fine. Good. Okay. This one, I need to rename this one. So I'll call it shipper ID now. Shipper ID. Okay. So I have this now. Now, I want to know I can only see the cost of my freight and where the all these ones here. Normally, in a good modeling, I would take all these ones out of this table. What is going to be contained in this table will just be the link back to my dimensions, right? Which I probably will do next class if I have time. And the link back to my dimension and all the figures, all the metrics that defines the business. Okay, that's why it's called the fact table. Okay, so now the other part where we're going to get the product that was bought and the quantity that was bought and if there was a discount or no discount is where we are now. So, and that table that contains that information is this table, which is called the other details table. So let's see what we have in the other details table for you to have an idea. Other details. So look at the other details table. So you can see we have the other, sorry, we have the other ID, which links back to the others table. And we have the product ID, which links us back to the products table. And then we now have the unit price, we have the quantity, and we have if there was a discount. So with these other details, we will know the customer. Sorry, this other ID link back to this, we'll be able to know the customer, we'll be able to know the employee, then we're able to know the shipper, we're able to know all this information that is contained here. But we need to bring these ones into here as well. Okay, so what we're going to do next, we're going to do inner join. You can do inner join, you can do left join, you can do right join, depends on the results which you are expecting. Here, I'm using inner join because I'm expecting it to return only the records that have a matching row, a matching order ID in both tables. They want the other ID that is present in one and not present in the other will not be in this result set. But if I want that for the other ID that do not have a corresponding other ID in one or the other tables, then I either use a left join or a right join, depending on which of the two tables that is on the right or on the left. I think for you to understand that better, go back to watch that earlier video as well where I treated joins. Okay, so I'm doing an inner join, and I'm doing an inner join to my others table, sorry, other details table, and I call this one the other details, right? And I'm now joining on OD other ID equals O dot other ID. So I've joined the two tables together. Now I can access all this information. So I want the product ID. So here, let me do it. ID, sorry, OD dot. In fact, I don't want to do it from here. I will do something again. Okay, let me do it from product table. So you see here that the product table have a relationship with the other details table, but not a relationship with the others table. Okay, so for me to be able to link, get the other ID, which I can get from this table, but I want to just use this to explain to you. So to get the product ID from the product view, now I'm going to be using with not the table because that's where from the product view, I will need to join back the other details to the product table. So, to product view. So have that inner join again onto that view. Where's my products? Did I do the products? Did I do the products here? Oh, I didn't do the products. Let's quickly do the products, sorry. So this is our product table. Let's quickly do a cleanup on it as well. So this is, I hope I don't have, okay, 25, 25. So that's good. So I don't need the, the product has been discontinued. Okay, we have it in the main table. So in this reporting, we're not reporting on it because it's not going to be, we're not selling it. So let's take that out. We're not reorder level. If we were to be creating this analytics to handle or to report on our inventory status or whatever, then we need this reorder level and the unit on reorder, okay, and then the units in stock. We don't need them here for now. So even the units in stock, I don't want to see that. This is for a different reporting. So have these ones. And my category now, I need to flatten it. I want to bring my category. I don't want to have two tables because why? I don't want to have what is called, I want to create a model which is the similitude of what is called the snowflake, sorry, or the star schema around the snowflake. Okay, so I'll do an inner join to my categories table. Okay, now let's do this. Okay, and that's P. And P, and then my inner join on this one, which is C. On C category ID, sorry, equals P dot category ID and product ID, So I don't need equity, but here now I need the category is a name. Yeah, category name. Category name, and this is C now. Okay, do I want the description? Let's bring the description as well. And then C dot. See that description. Okay. So if I execute this, this is what I'm going to have. I'm okay with this. Product ID, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So let's create that into a view. Let's go product. Okay. Okay, so I have that now. And that's my product table. Okay. So now I'm bringing that in here. I'm joining that into here. It's my P and on P dot plus OD dot product ID. In this case, I'm bringing P dot product ID. I'm bringing it from there. Okay, you can see that. So now we brought that in here. We don't need that because we already have it here. We need the quantity and the unit price, and then we want the sales amount. So now, my first, I will now bring in OD or quantity. I need the quantity. Okay. I need the quantity. Okay, and now I want the unit price.
Mhm. Okay.
Unit price. Okay, well, let's match and close it in open and close brackets. So it's brought with me. But now we have that. We do not know the cost. We do not know the sales amount. So I want to bring in what is called the sales amount. Now I'm calculating. Okay, so my sales amount will now be to find my sales amount. What do I need to do?
Quantity times unit price.
Thank you very much. So quantity multiplied by unit price. I can decide to wrap the two in a bracket like this and then call it
Sales amount.
I'll call it amount for now.
But we
I'll
have
just
this
call it yeah, I deliberately did it this way just for you to see. Okay, so I have that, but I have discount.
count. Yeah.
So what am I going to do? I want to know the discount, right? I'm going to do another transformation. Then I'm going to do calculation. I want to know this is only going to give me the total amount without the discount.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
So, but I want to have the discounted amount or the amount after the discount has been deducted.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll do another calculation. I'll copy this because I'll just make a bit of change to that. So here now, that is that one. I will now do
minus.
no. I will do this. You can do that, but I will do this.
Or times discounted.
That now my discount. Okay. But now my discount. Okay. That is that. Will give me, but this is not right. It will only give me this calculation. Let's execute it. Let's see. So look at that. Where do I have two amounts? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Discounted amount.
Okay. Oh, come on. But now look at this now. This amount. Look at this now. That is the amount. This is the amount that is discounted. Right? So, but we want to know the amount, the actual sales amount now.
Amounts. Okay.
Okay, actual sales amount. This is the total sales amount before discount. This is the discount. We now want to know this minus this, what is left.
Yes.
Okay, so let's copy this again. Only one thing we need to do more. So what should we call this one now? Actual or total sales amount?
Actual sales amount, I think.
Actual sales amount.
Actual sales amount. So now this one is going to be in another bracket. Sorry, in another bracket. What do you think I'm going to do for me to get that? Does anybody know? This is just math. This is mathematics now. What do you think I'm going to do?
To get what, sir?
To do here to get the actual sales amount. That is the total, the sales amount minus the discount.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're doing
Not
the
only,
sales amount minus a discount.
Say that
code.
again.
We're doing the sales amounts, the actual, like the sales amount, minus the discount code to get the amount that was
Yeah,
actually
so
sold for.
yeah, but there are two ways to do it now. I can either copy this, which is my sales amount. Sorry, this is my discounted amount. This one rather, right? Minus this one, which is
Yes.
long. This is long winding. But
Mm.
there's a way I can do it simple. Okay, which is what
Eh,
I'm trying to do here now.
And
So,
then
but that is why I'm now bringing you to see this. Look at the discount amount. How do you think this is recorded?
percentage.
Is in percentage. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's bring it in here so that you will see. Unit price. Let's bring in the OD dot discount. So what we need to do, because it's a percentage, we just do 1 minus.
100.
This one is 100 because this is already recorded in decimal.
Yes.
Okay.
0.15.
Yeah, so it's already recorded in decimal. If we were to be recorded in percentage, then we will be 100. But because it's already in decimal,
So it should
one
be
is
one.
it's 1. So now you will see what we're going to get. Oh, sorry, what did I do wrong? Sorry. Okay. So you can now see this minus this is this,
Okay.
right?
Mm.
Because we're looking at, because it's 15%, so we're looking at 15%, I'm sorry, 85% of this.
Yes.
This is 15% of this.
Mm.
So this is now the 85%. This means if you add these two together, you should arrive
To
at this.
give this. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So here now we have created our fact table from these 2 or 3 tables now. I would have gone in to bring in, if I want third, which I just don't want to do, I only did it for 1. I could have just gone in to get the customer ID from the customer view and then the employee ID from the employee ID, but it's already in our orders table, so we don't need to repeat it anymore. Okay, makes it a little bit simpler for us. So now this is what is called our fact table now. You see, we've done a bit of transformation. Okay, so now we just create this now as create view. We call it I already called that one, says fact, don't have it as DBO, so it's going to be our fact, let's call it fact
Fact
order.
sheet. Okay.
Fact order. Orders, right? Okay, so we create that. All right, so we have that now. So we have our customer, we have our employee, we have our fact orders, we have our product. We're going to work on we're going to expand on the employee next week. We have our shippers and we have our supplier, everything. And if you can see, okay, now what I've not brought in here, let's review this. We didn't bring in the supplier ID here. And we have the supplier in the, where do we have the supplier? I think in the products table. Yeah, we have the supplier ID. So let's bring the supplier ID here and then we don't need it there. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to alter this. Alter, and I'm going to be joining back. So the supply is in the supply in this table. So I'll bring that in. In fact, I don't even need to because I already have it in the product table. So I'll just bring it in from the product table. I don't need to So I just bring in P dot supplier ID. Okay. And then we have the supplier ID, we have the shipper ID. Okay. That's that. Can alter that. Okay, so if I come back in here, where's that table? View rather. Can see I have that. So this is where I'm going to stop for today. Any questions? Unmute yourself, ask me questions.
You're serious, man.
I'm going to pause